church capital of North America, Lamont County. Please note this is a self-guided tour. There are no guarantees you'll be able to enter inside any of these churches. The official Lamont County Open Doors Church Tour was discontinued in 2012. Our story. Lamont County has a proud legacy as the birthplace of the oldest and largest agricultural settlement of Ukrainians in Canada. The nucleus of the pioneer Ukrainian colony was in the vicinity of Star, some 7 miles northeast of the modern-day town of Lamont. There, in 1894, 4 immigrant families filed for adjacent homesteads at what became the center of a thriving block settlement, which eventually encompassed the region that now comprises the Kelowna Country Eco-Museum. Not surprisingly, the historic Star District was also the site where organized Christian life first took root among Ukrainians in Alberta, about the same time that the sod huts originally put up as temporary shelters by the pioneers began to be replaced by modest thatch roof houses. As more newcomers from Europe made East Central Alberta their home, Lamont County experienced a remarkable church-building boom, expressive of the deep Christian faith brought over from the Old World by the settlers. This rich spiritual heritage is still very much in evidence today in the numerous churches that can be found in the towns and villages on country roads in virtually every part of the municipality. The churches of Lamont County include both sanctuaries of historical significance and uniquely beautiful structures that are representative of ancient architectural traditions that were imported to the New World. Important church etiquette. Please remember that places of worship are sanctified structures, and visitors are requested to keep voices lowered, refrain from unnecessary conversation, and to remove hats if they are male. Do not enter the sanctuary, the area behind the iconostasis, where the priest conducts the Mass, unless you are specifically invited to do so by a priest or parishioner. Although it is not expected, a small donation towards the upkeep of the church is greatly appreciated by each place of worship. Watch for people in the churchyard. They'll often be happy to show you around. Lamont, Chipman, St. Michael, and Area Church Tour. Total tour length, 72 kilometers. Welcome to the town of Lamont. Lamont was first founded in 1892 by James and William Hackett, who named the settlement Bloomfield, after their home district in Ontario. By the turn of the century, they had been joined by many immigrants from Europe. In 1905, the Canadian Northern Railway surveyed the area for the right-of-way and also for a town site. When the settlers showed no preference for a name, the railroad company called the town Lamont, after the Honorable Mr. Justice Lamont, formerly of the Supreme Court of Canada. The railways opened this land, and it became the most densely settled area by the early pioneers. Out of the wilderness, a new society was carved where schools, churches, and towns sprouted up and flourished. Detailed information on the town's history can be found in the local history book, Lamont and District along Victoria Trail. While in Lamont, take the opportunity to visit the Mohila, located north of town at the junction of secondary highways 831 and 637. The Mohila was constructed to mark the centenary of Ukrainian settlement in Canada. 1891 to 1991 is dedicated to the Ukrainian people, who cast themselves like seeds unto the wind to settle and take root upon this land so generations might flourish. Before starting your tour, take the time to relax and enjoy breakfast and coffee at one of the town's several facilities. From Highway 15, you'll have entered the town along 50th Ave. Turn left or north at 53rd Street and travel 1 block. Church number 14 is at the junction of 51st Ave and 53rd Street. Number 14. Lamont United Church, Town of Lamont, junction of 51st Ave and 53rd Street. With the arrival of the Canadian National Railway, the town of Lamont began to take shape. Methodists and Presbyterians joined forces to erect a church building in 1906 and came to agreement on how they would share the church time. The Lamont Union Church was formed in 1922, with a different minister serving each congregation. A single hymn book was chosen, and ministers were to be called alternately from the 2 churches. On June 10, 1925, the United Church of Canada was created, and the Lamont congregation became a member. In 1936, the church and its contents were destroyed by fire. Money was scarce in these Depression years, and it was decided to build the new church of Fieldstone, which was common to the area and therefore free. It became routine for farm folk of all faiths to bring stones for the new church on their regular trips to town. Many also volunteered their assistance with the construction. Frank Rupchuk, a local farmer and master stonemason who supervised the building of the church, expressed his feelings that it would be incomplete without a cross. The church board agreed, and a discreet stone cross now graces the top of the bell tower. Noteworthy features of the building include the massive supporting stone buttresses, the open-beam wooden roof trussing, the beautifully carved interior woodwork, and the stained glass windows. The congregation is active and regular Sunday worship services are held. Return to 50th Ave, turn left or east and continue through the town of Lamont to the four-way stop or junction of 50th Ave and 48th Street. Church number 15 is on the northeast corner of the junction. Number 15, St. John the Baptist, Ukrainian Catholic Church. Town of Lamont, 50th Ave and 48th Street. The parish was initiated in 1937 when Father M. Scienchuk, OSBM, first came to Lamont to celebrate liturgy at a local home. The 9 families making up the congregation thought it would be practical to establish a Ukrainian Catholic church in town, which was rapidly developing as a regional center. In 1941, following the purchase of a 3-acre lot, the former Deep Creek School was acquired and moved to the site, serving the congregation as its place of worship for several years. The parish soon expanded, and it was decided that a new church was required to serve the growing community. Built in 1947, the present St. John's represents one of the last attempts in the settlement area to build a simple cruciform church, as opposed to a more architecturally sophisticated sanctuary. One of the interesting features of the current structure is the twin tower configuration on the facade, indicating a French-Canadian architectural influence. St. John's is capped by onion domes, and the windows are round-headed. The cupolas over the twin towers and on the top of the main dome have false windows on each side of their octagonal bases, which were painted in the same pattern as the structure's real windows. Continue east on 50th Ave. Turn left or north on 44th Street. Church number 16 is at the junction of 44th Street and 50A Ave. Number 16, Lamont Alliance Church. Town of Lamont, 44th Street and 50A Ave. Lamont Alliance Church is one of 396 Christian and Missionary Alliance churches in Canada. Worldwide, the Christian and Missionary Alliance consists of over 15,000 organized churches, unorganized churches, and preaching points. Lamont Alliance has existed in Lamont since 1944, when meetings began in a remodeled funeral home. In 1947, a larger building was purchased in Star and moved into Lamont. On August 16, 1950, the church became officially incorporated as the Lamont Alliance Tabernacle with 13 charter members. The present church building was completed in 1983. Lamont Alliance Church is a healthy, active church that is dedicated to being an important part of the community. Return to the four-way stop and turn left or south on SH 831 to Highway 15. Turn left or east and travel for 11.2 kilometers on Highway 15 to the village of Chipman. Welcome to the village of Chipman. The town site of Chipman was surveyed in 1905 and incorporated as a village in 1913. Chipman was named after Clarence Campbell Chipman, who at the time was private secretary to Sir Charles Tupper, the Commissioner of Railways, and was later appointed Chief Commissioner to the Hudson Bay Company. 2 distinct groups of settlers played an important role in the growth of the community. The first settlers arrived from Parry Sound, Ontario in 1892. The second group arrived from the Ukraine, anxious for land and a better way of life. Amongst these was Vasily Leniak, one of the first Ukrainian settlers to arrive in the West, whose memory is honored with a monument by his grave in the St. Mary's Ukrainian Catholic Church Cemetery. Today, the village of Chipman proudly proclaims itself as the capital of Coyote Country, this hardy, intelligent creature being a fitting symbol for the residents of the village. More detailed information on the history of Chipman and St. Michael can be found in the local history book Pride and Progress. Take a while to explore the village and maybe drop by the hotel for lunch, where you can be assured of a warm welcome. To arrive at the next church, turn right or south on 50th or Main Street. Church number 17 is located at the junction with 48th Ave. Number 17, St. Bonaventure Roman Catholic Church, Village of Chipman, junction of 50th Street and 48th Ave. With the sale of the church building in Ross Creek in 1918, permission was given to build a new Roman Catholic church in Chipman. The present sanctuary was blessed on the feast of St. Bonaventure, July 14, 1919. Although the church has been closed since 1987, the few parishioners that are left take great pride in keeping up the church and cemetery. Funerals are still held, and the church is available for viewing by visitors. St. Bonaventure's tall and stately form on Main Street is a cherished Chipman landmark to the present day. Continue 1 block south on Main Street to church number 18. Number 18, Nativity of the Mother of God, St. Mary's Ukrainian Catholic Church, Village of Chipman, 50th Street south of 48th Ave. St. Mary's was founded as a Ukrainian Catholic parish in 1900 to 1901, and its first church was erected about 2 miles east of Chipman 7 years later. In 1915, a split developed in the congregation, with several members deciding that they wanted to join the Russo-Orthodox Church, see Church number 19. Based on a legal precedent set 10 years earlier, the proponents of Orthodoxy were allowed to continue holding their services in the original church. Those who were committed to remaining Ukrainian Catholic constructed the present St. Mary's in a 3-domed Byzantine style in 1916. The iconostasis was built in 1922 by Philip Polyak of Lamont and was painted in 1928 by Peter Lipinski, who also adorned the interior with a wealth of religious pictures and traditional borders. Highlights of his work include the imitation cut stone on the walls, the decorative borders, the angels on the ceiling of the main dome, and the oil paintings with integrated painted frames on canvas glued directly to the walls. Vasil Aliniak, one of the first Ukrainian settlers to arrive in Canada in 1891, was a founding member of this congregation and is buried in the cemetery beside the church. Return north on Main Street and turn right or east on 49th Ave. Church number 19 is at the junction with 48th Street. Number 19, Russo-Greek Catholic Orthodox Church of St. John the Baptist, Village of Chipman, junction of 49th Ave and 48th Street. Homesteaders who settled in the vicinity of Chipman in the late 19th century began organizing their religious life in 1901-02. 7 years later, a church was built 2 miles east of the present-day village and dedicated to the Nativity of the Virgin Mary. However, a division subsequently developed within the congregation, with some of the faithful wanting to be affiliated with the Ukrainian Catholic Church and others wanting to be under the jurisdiction of the Russian Orthodox Church. In 1915, reinforced by support from 10 Orthodox families living closer to Chipman, the latter group obtained legal title to St. Mary's. The Catholic followers withdrew and constructed their own place of worship. See Church number 18. The Orthodox believers continued using the original sanctuary until it was destroyed by fire in 1923. Steps were then immediately taken to erect a new church in the village itself, a task that was completed 2 years later. This sanctuary was an impressive structure with a particularly beautiful interior and was consecrated under the patronage of St. John the Baptist to honor the 3 members of the building committee who shared the name John. Tragically, this imposing 3-domed edifice was also consumed by fire in 1963. The parishioners commissioned a design for another sanctuary, and the present church was constructed in 1965. This rectangular structure is crowned with a large central dome that is open to the interior and 4 cupolas that are mounted over the corners. An iconostasis of carved wood imported from Greece was installed and blessed in 1976. Continue on 48th Street to T intersection. Turn right or east, then jog north to Highway 15. Turn right or east on Highway 15 and travel to Range Road 182. Turn right or south on Range Road 182 and travel for 5.6 kilometers. Church number 20 is on the right or west side of the road. Number 20, St. Mary's Holy Dormititian Russo-Greek Orthodox Catholic Church, Shishkovitz. Range Road 182, south of Township Road 540. The name Shishkovitz is derived from the village of Shishkivets, Bukovina, in western Ukraine, where some of the founders of this church emigrated from at the end of the 19th century. In 1903, local settlers arranged for 40 acres of land to be set aside by the Hirok homestead in preparation for the construction of a church. Logs were cut the following year, and volunteers began working on the sanctuary in 1905. Shingles for the roof were obtained from a Chipman grocery store in exchange for eggs supplied by the members of the congregation. After the Second World War, it became increasingly obvious that the original church was inadequate for the needs of the community. In 1953, a fundraising campaign was inaugurated, and a new sanctuary was finally completed on the church property a decade later. In 1965, the first Shishkovitz church was relocated to the Shandro Historical Museum and Village on Secondary Highway 857 north of Wellington. The cross from the dome was kept as a memorial and placed as a marker on the site of the original church. Andrew Furchuk built the iconostasis in the new church, which preserved the chandelier from the first St. Mary's and many of its treasures brought over from the old country, including the chalice, the cross on the altar table, and an icon depicting the grave of the Blessed Virgin. Among the unmarked graves in the cemetery adjacent to the church is that of pioneer Stefan Diedutch, 1839 to 1911, whose immigration to Canada in 1899 helped to inspire a famous short story entitled The Stone Cross by the renowned Ukrainian author Vasyl Stefanik. Return north on Range Road 182, cross Highway 15, and continue north on Range Road 182 for 4.8 kilometers to Township Road 550. Jog right, then left, and continue on Range Road 181 for 9.6 kilometers to the junction with Township Road 560. Turn left or west and travel for 1.6 kilometers. Church number 21 is on the left or south side of the road. Number 21. St. Nicholas Ukrainian Catholic Church of St. Michael. Junction of Range Road 182 and Township Road 560. By 1904, with local volunteer labor, a small traditional church had been constructed at this location, and priests from the Basilian order in Madeira began ministering to the people. However, by 1911, Russo-Orthodox and Greek Catholic adherents were both claiming the right to hold services. They could not reach an agreement, and the church was closed until 1918. Several searches of the title made between 1906 and 1918 resulted in a series of certificates being issued and canceled, each giving possession to a different group. The dispute was resolved when the last title was issued in the name of the Ruthenian Greek Catholic Church of St. Nicholas of Wostock. Divine liturgies resumed at the church in 1918, and the small sanctuary soon became overcrowded. In 1922, members started planning a larger building, and the present red brick structure, designed in the Byzantine style with one large dome in the center and two smaller domes at the front and back, was completed the following year. A new bell tower was also built containing 3 fine-toned bells. Return east on Township Road 560 for 3.2 kilometers. At the junction with Range Road 180, turn left or north and travel for 9.6 kilometers to Highway 45. Church number 22 is on the right or southeast corner of the intersection. Number 22. St. Michael the Archangel Ukrainian Catholic Church, Limestone Lake, junction of Range Road 180 and Highway 45. The Limestone Lake congregation of the Ukrainian Catholic Church of St. Michael the Archangel was formed in 1898 by a handful of early settlers. Services were held in private homes for 6 years until a humble place of worship was completed. All the faithful members volunteered, helping to haul and trim logs, raising the walls, then filling the spaces between with moss and clay. The roof was framed with lumber and shingles, and a metal dome was added. This small pioneer structure served the congregation until it burned down in the late 1930s. In 1939, the present church was built, once again with the hard work of its committed members. Travel west on Highway 45 for 3.2 kilometers. At the junction with Range Road 182, turn left or south and travel for 4.8 kilometers. Church number 23 is on the left or east side of the road. Number 23. Holy Trinity Russo Orthodox Church, Old Waztok. Junction of Range Road 182, south of Township Road 564. During the winter of 1896 to 97, settlers in the recently established Star Colony began meeting to discuss the need to obtain a priest. A farmer named Anton Saka was urged by some of his neighbors to write to the bishop overseeing the Russian Orthodox mission in San Francisco with the request that he provide pastoral care for the young immigrant community. In response to this petition, 2 Russian Orthodox clerics were dispatched to the settlement from Seattle the following summer, Reverend Dmitry Kamnev and Deacon Vladimir Alexandrov. On July 18, 1897, they celebrated the first Orthodox liturgy sung on Canadian soil for some 380 settlers who gathered at the homestead of Theodore Nemirsky, opposite the site of the present Holy Trinity Russo Orthodox Church. A stand of trees still marks the spot in the field where the historic service was held, inspired and encouraged by a follow-up visit made the next spring by the same missionaries. A group of settlers northeast of Star secured a 40-acre land grant at the location of the present Holy Trinity Church, where in 1899 they completed a log sanctuary and set aside space for a cemetery. This was the foundation of the first Orthodox Church in Canada. The same year, this district became known as Waztok, after the Old Church Slavonic word for east, Vostok. Tragically, the first Waztok church caught fire following a memorial service in 1907 and was destroyed. As the structure was insured, the congregation was able to rebound quickly from their loss. However, a decision was made to build a replacement church approximately 1 mile south of the original place of worship, much to the chagrin of some members of the congregation. Nevertheless, everyone united behind the effort to build the new church, which was larger and more impressive than its humble predecessor. This second Holy Trinity Church served the Waztok community until 1932, when it too was consumed by fire. Now, in the Great Depression years, it took longer for the congregation to recover from the blow of losing their church. The Orthodox faithful of the area, which in 1928 became known as Old Waztok, after the relocation of local businesses further east on the new railway line, gradually rallied to the difficult task at hand, and in 1938 resolved to rebuild the church on the site of the original sanctuary, where it today serves as a memorial to the founders of the congregation. Continue south on Range Road 182 for 1.6 kilometers. At Township Road 562, turn right or west and travel for 3.2 kilometers to church number 24, located on the right or north side of the road in the hamlet of St. Michael. Number 24. St. Michael, the Archangel Roman Catholic Church. Hamlet of St. Michael, junction of Range Road 184 and Township Road 562. The first Polish settlers arrived in Waztok area in 1896, and for several years, services were held in local homes. Construction of a log chapel started in 1900 and was completed 5 years later. Without a bell, the church did not seem complete, so a bell was bought and a belfry built in close proximity to the chapel. By 1914, work had commenced on a larger and more elaborate place of worship. The outside was finished by 1915, after which the parishioners began raising money to complete the interior. To remind the parishioners that the old chapel was dedicated to St. John Cantius, the picture of this Polish saint adorns the right wall in the sanctuary. While the picture of St. Michael the Archangel is on the left, paintings of the coat of arms of the Oblates and of Archbishop O'Leary indicate that the church was both under the administration of the Oblate Order and blessed by the Archbishop. At the request of the faithful, the church was dedicated to St. Michael. The church committee asked the Canadian Pacific Railroad Company to give the local station the same name, and in this way, the village of St. Michael, now a hamlet, came into being. In 1940, the parish built a cenotaph, or pomnik, in memory of the first chapel, erected by the pioneers in 1905. Number 25. St. Dmytro Ukrainian Catholic Church, the Farm Church, junction of Range Road 173 and Township Road 542. This church is often referred to as the Seniac Church, due to its proximity to the homestead of an early pioneering family. The first church, erected in 1903 on 40 acres of land granted by the government, was a functional two-room structure. Plans were initiated in 1922 to build a larger church in the traditional Byzantine style, and construction of the present sanctuary was completed in 1926. The interior was painted by Peter Lipinski and has been preserved in its original condition. In 1935, a belfry was placed on the site of the first chapel. To this day, the parish is served by the Basilian Fathers of Mundare. Continue north on Range Road 173 for 1.6 kilometers. Church number 26 is on the right or east side of the road. Number 26. Roman Catholic Church of the Precious Blood, Krakow. Range Road 173, south of Township Road 544. This area was originally served by a Polish missionary priest, Reverend Francis Olszewski, who made his home in the center of the Polish and Ukrainian settlements that are now known as Krakow. This is the oldest Polish parish in Alberta and was dedicated to Saint Casimir. A small church was erected in 1907, then replaced with the present sanctuary, built in 1934 to 1935, and consecrated in the name of the Precious Blood. Peter Lipinski painted the main altar. Currently, Mass is celebrated once a year. Return south on Range Road 173 to the junction with Township Road 542. Turn left or east and travel 4.8 kilometers east. Then turn right or south and travel on Range Road 170 for 3.2 kilometers. Church number 27 is at the intersection with Township Road 540. Number 27. Russo-Greek Orthodox Catholic Church, St. James. Junction of Range Road 170 and Township Road 540. The Ukrainian settlers who homesteaded the area immediately north of the modern-day town of Mundare referred to this district as Beaver Lake because at the end of the 19th century, an arm of Beaver Hill Lake extended nearby. In 1901, Beaver Lake residents embarked upon the construction of St. Jacob's Church, now commonly known as St. James, which they completed the following year. In 1903, the sanctuary was consecrated by Bishop Tihon of the Russian Orthodox Mission, who, from 1917 to 1925, served as the Patriarch of Moscow and all Russia. Renovated and placed on a concrete foundation in 1942, the church, one of the oldest sanctuaries in Lamont County, is adorned with hung icons painted by the artist Peter Lipinski. The age of this well-maintained structure is reflected in the fact that it is based on a tripartite plan, rather than on the more architecturally sophisticated cruciform pattern that was usually adopted for later churches. St. James is unusual because the belfry, which is situated over the narthex, is an integral part of the church, whereas the majority of the churches built by the Ukrainian pioneers have freestanding bell towers, as was the tradition in the Old Country. Travel east on Township Road 540 to Secondary Highway 855. Turn right or south and travel for 3.2 kilometers to the town of Mundare. You have reached the end of the Lamont, Chipman, and St. Michael Church Tour. To return to Lamont, continue west on Township Road 562 for 6 miles or 9.6 kilometers to Secondary Highway 831. Turn left or south and travel 4 miles or 6.4 kilometers to the town of Lamont. Enjoy a good supper at one of the excellent eating establishments in the town of Lamont. We hope you enjoyed this tour. Lamont County thanks the following organizations whose contributions and support have made this presentation possible: Alberta Historical Resources Foundation, Jars Balan, Kalinia Country Ecomuseum, towns of Bruderheim, Lamont, and Mundare, villages of Andrew and Chipman. Thank you.